I would Dali confirm that.
Okay. Okay, I'm hoping that when it comes up, it will come in Technicolor. But if it doesn't, then I'll. All right, there's an email from you which says, hi PP, find attached the draft from Niels. I have highlighted the relevant parts. Regards. You don't dispute that. I'm just saying it's from you. That's not the big issue. The big issue is that you highlighted the relevant parts yourself.
Sure, I can't recall that.
It's possible that that's what you did.
Just a pause, Advocate Bauer.
Sorry, Mr. Mpofu, I don't want to interrupt you, but could we please ask that we don't have that email, and we have really made a fuss about document production, but it would assist if we were getting documents before you relied on them.
Yeah, well, I don't know how the witness is going to answer questions beforehand. So some documents will arise from questions, as always happens in any cross-examination. I've done my best to give you what I can beforehand.
So okay, but are you able to share that document that she's?
Yes, I have, and I phoned Ms. Bauer and told her that the reason why the document was delayed, we sent it maybe 2 hours after we had promised, was exactly because we were still looking for related documents, but I didn't want, because it was the longest document, I said to her, I'll send it to her anyway.
Okay.
I'm not making a fuss about the document prepared by Niels van der Merwe, but you're referring to an email, and that for record purposes, it would be good that whatever you refer to is put into the way we're storing the documents, and that we would have it. So I'm not objecting to the document you sent early this morning into which you referred to, but you're reading from a document that we actually haven't seen, Mr. Mpofu.
Okay. Did you get that, Advocate Mpofu?
Yeah, it's fine. I'll send it to her during the tea time or as we proceed. Mr. Kekana, can we? You can, unless if the purpose of this is to use this document to, maybe it will bring back some of your memory. Look at the cover page.
Yes.
Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I can't see the screen share here. But okay, that's the heading. I won't read it again. I think I read it out yesterday. That's the heading of the document. You remember that?
Not that clearly, but I do remember this document, but not that clearly.
No, that's fine. Then, okay, let's go to page. Okay, the pages are not numbers. Can you go to paragraph 1, operator? Okay, I see the underlining has not come through. All right, the 1.1. Okay, just hold on. I don't know if you can see Chairperson.
Yes, Advocate Mpofu.
Yeah, I'm putting on the screen, on my screen, the version of the document that I have, just to show you the underlining.
I see what you have underlined there in yellow.
Yes, no, it's not me, it's Mr. Kekana. That's, okay, Mr. Kekana, does that assist you?
Chair, as I indicated, I don't recall highlighting it.
Okay, fine. Let me read it to you. The part you highlighted, it says, as far back as 2008, the Parliamentary Task Team on Oversight and Accountability in regard to oversight and accountability model noted that the Reserve Bank of 1989, as well as Section 223 and 225 of the Constitution, are not sufficiently aligned to the constitutional requirements for mechanisms on oversight in inter alia Section 52 and 55 of the Constitution, as well as the relevant constitutional provisions that refer directly and indirectly to oversight and accountability, to enable the National Assembly to effectively maintain oversight over the South African Reserve Bank, as well as the relevant responsibilities of the Minister of Finance. That part you can see, you might not see the highlighting, but that is what is in the document, probably on your screen, that side. Agreed?
Yes, I think I followed what you read.
Okay. The next part that you highlighted was 1.2, which says the public protector's experience and observations on the current governance arrangements relating to the Reserve Bank confirm that it is necessary to reflect on the constitutional principles applicable to fully fledged central bank within the economic context of our country and the needs of our democratic society. You see that part?
Yes, I see it.
Okay, the next part which you highlighted is 2.3 further down. And it says the South African Reserve Bank and 7 other central banks, Belgium, Greece, Italy, Japan, Switzerland, Turkey, and the US, have shareholders other than government of their respective countries. South African Reserve Bank lists its shares on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, and currently the shares are held by more than 650 shareholders composed of companies, institutions, and private citizens. You see that part?
Yes, I do see it.
Then you also highlighted 2.5, which says, one of the disadvantages of central banks established under company law is that factors that should be indicative of sound corporate governance, such as social pressures, the interests of the public, and impact on economic return, and the long-run sustainability of the company have to compete with shareholder value, which links corporate interests primarily to those of the shareholders. You see that?
Yes, I see that.
The next part that you highlighted is a 3.2, and it's the second last. Hold on, can you go? 3.2, yeah, oh, thank God. All right, sorry, I see the highlightings are now reflected because I thought you, can you see that, Mr. Kekana?
Yes, I actually opened a separate document, so I'm following you as you read the paragraphs.
Thank you very much. Okay, no, sorry. I was under the impression that the highlightings are not visible to the honorable members, but now I can see that they are. So that helps me a lot here. So the next highlighting is then, moreover, financial stability policy, unlike monetary policy, is subject to very strong pressure from vested interests, especially the financial industry, which has effective means to advance its interests. The next 3.4, I won't read out because this just also talks about other countries. 3.5, at the same time, it is argued that in democracies, all power is delegated power, and the parliament is free to make any decisions it wishes. The independence of the central bank can never be absolute. And then let's jump to 3.6. Monetary policy in the traditional national sense includes balancing parliament and the government on the one hand and the central bank on the other. German Constitutional Court case, most of the management monetary policy on an autonomous basis in the hands of an independent central bank restricts democratic legitimacy and therefore affects the principle of democracy, according to the Constitutional Court, acceptable as it took account of the particular mention that an independent central bank is a better guarantee of the value of the currency. The other one is too long, it's at 4.3.4. In about 1/5 countries, the law provides for government or parliament to give directives to the central bank and set rules around the procedure to be followed. Examples of such mechanisms are to be found in Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and Norway, and so on and so on. The only point I want to make is that this was quite a serious comparative study in economic models pertaining to reserve banks in other jurisdictions. You would agree with that summary, correct?
Yes, as I indicated, it seems as if it was a comparative study.
Yes, no, I know it was a comparative study. I'm asking you something different. That it was a thorough analysis of the models and economic models, particularly in relation to the constitutional regimes of reserve banks in other countries as compared to ours, correct?
I would agree.
Thank you. Now, So this is some of this is not consistent with your theory that all this issue about constitutional amendment simply came from the SSA, is it?
No, I don't understand your question.
Okay, this amount of work which was done thoroughly within the Public Protector's Office itself and is not consistent with your theory that the whole issue of constitutional amendment simply came from the SSA and not from the Public Protector.
I never said the theory of amending the constitution came from the SSA. I indicated that the SSA gave us a note which contained a draft amendment of the constitution.
Okay, I see. So you never said that the recommendation to change the constitution came from the SSA?
I said the recommendation that was provided to us came from the SSA.
By that, you meant just a piece of paper, or did you mean the recommendation itself, the idea?
The piece of paper.
Oh, I see.
The idea from what I know, according to my personal knowledge, always came from the PP.
Good. So, okay. Thank you. That's a major breakthrough. So you accept that the idea was generated by, among other things, by the interactions you had with Mr. Goodson, correct?
I wouldn't know what the motive for the idea would be.
No, I'm not talking about motives, Mr. Kekana. I'm saying, do you know that the idea was, among other things, influenced by your interactions, you and the PP, with Mr. Goodson?
I don't know.
Did Mr. Goodson not talk about this idea in your discussions with him or in reading his book?
Yes, we did talk about that.
Yes. Now, so why is it so difficult to accept the obvious that those discussions were not just for fun, that they played a role in shaping the idea, correct?
From my personal knowledge, the idea came even before we discussed with Mr. Goodson.
Yes, but then what would have been the point? Let's assume it came even before, but it was also influenced, that's what I'm saying, by those discussions. Otherwise, those discussions would have been futile. Why would you have discussions if you were set in your ways and had a closed mind on the idea?
According to my personal knowledge, I wouldn't know about influence, but what I know is that the public protector needed Mr. Goodson's assistance in the matter, yes. and he provided us with inputs.
Good, that's good enough. So it can then be said that the idea emanated from the interactions with Mr. Goodson and from the public protector.
I don't know where the idea emanated from.
Okay, I thought you just said it came from the PP, but now you don't know. All right, that's fine.
Just pause there, Advocate Mpofu. Mr. Kekana, can you repeat that? Because you did say that originally the idea came from the PP, it came from the public protector.
That's correct. It came from the public protector, but I don't know what motivated the idea.
That's okay. That's fair. Thank you. Advocate Mpofu?
That's fine, Chairperson. Well, I won't belabor the point here. As long as we know that the idea did not come from the SSA. But in fact, even if it did come from the SSA, we have established that the SSA was the lead department in the contract with CX, correct?
Yes, the SSA signed the contract with CX. Yes,
and if it was any other department, Home Affairs or whatever, then we should sign the agreement, then you would have been interacting with that department, correct?
Yes, to find out what's their version of or their account of the investigation.
Yes. So this idea, which is bandied about in the media narrative, that there was something strange, simply because by coincidence, the department that signed the agreement on behalf of the government of South Africa happened to be intelligence department, is unfounded. Would you agree?
Chair, can I get a repeat of the question? I don't understand the question.
I'm saying the idea that simply because the signatory department was the intelligence department, the idea that there was something sinister is actually unfounded, because you as the public protector had to follow the contract, so to speak. So if it had been signed by the Department of Arts and Culture, you would have been interacting with that department. But this one was signed by the Department of Intelligence.
I still don't get it. Is your question, Council? Is your question, Council, saying that the idea, for the mere fact that SSA signed the contract with CX Ltd, it was sinister? Is that what you say?
No, I'm saying the opposite, that it was not sinister, and to portray it as sinister is wrong.
Chair, I wouldn't have a view about that. I don't have knowledge about that.
That's fine. You've seen the contract between CX and the South African government signed by SSA, have you?
I did see it during the investigation.
Yes, and the essence of that contract was that CX undertook to provide intelligence in the form of evidence to the South African government and advice in relation to various issues, including trying to recover the money that belongs to taxpayers, correct?
Yes, more or less, yeah, correct.
Yeah. Thank you. Now, when this was being discussed with SSA, there would have been nothing wrong with them bringing along somebody that they regarded as an economic expert or from their economic division. I'm sorry, I don't know how NIA works, but that is also not sinister, that they would have people who might have some knowledge in this area, correct?
I'm not so sure in what context you are asking that.
I'm asking it in the context of explaining the presence in the meeting. You had the principals, let's call them that. That is the minister and Mr. Arthur Fraser, correct, as the senior people in the delegation that came to meet with the public protector. Am I right?
Yes, in the initial meeting or the first meeting we had with the SSA,
Yes.
the minister was there, the DG was there, and Mr. James Ramabulani.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So, in fact, let's start with Mr. Ramabulani. So, I'm saying then, if the leadership in the form of the minister and the DG were to discuss a matter like this, they would bring somebody with more detailed knowledge, if you know what I mean, such as Mr. Ramabulani, of the matter, correct? There's nothing sinister with that.
Chair, my answer to that would be that people who would come generally to a meeting would have knowledge of the aspects that we are investigating. Correct.
Now, I'm putting it to you that Mr. Ramabulana and Mr. Moodley at different levels or to varying degrees had some input to make on this matter. You would agree with that general statement?
I'm not so sure what input would that be, because I did not receive any input from Mr. Ramabulani. And from Mr. Moodley, we only received the note that I mentioned in the affidavit.
Yes, okay. But from common sense, if the minister and the DG bring, let's call it the people who are at the lower levels of the leadership of that department to a meeting about whatever, then you would expect that those people are there to support the minister and the DG in the particular area that is being discussed. That's why they are brought to such a meeting, just from your knowledge of life in general and meetings.
Yeah, in general, I would suppose so.
Thank you. Right. Now, the evidence from the PP will be that, like you, she might not remember all the details specifically, or which meeting or who was wearing what, because it was a long time ago. But that these gentlemen were presented, Mr. Moodley in particular, as some kind of economic expert who had also worked at in the South African Reserve Bank space. You can't dispute that, correct?
I only know that he was introduced to me as an economist.
Yes, I know that. That's where I'm getting at, Mr. Kekana, as to why he might have been introduced to you as an economist. I'm saying, you and I spoke yesterday about what that definition might entail. I'm saying that you cannot dispute, either it was said in your presence, or you cannot dispute, if it was not said in your presence, that Mr. Moodley had worked in the South African Reserve Bank environment.
I don't recall that.
You cannot dispute that he was coming from the economic unit, and don't hold me to that term, but unit, division, or whatever, but from the economic side of NIA.
I was told he was an economist from the SSA.
Yes, and do you know that he also holds an MBA, Master in Business Administration?
I don't know any other personal details about Mr. Moodley.
About him, okay, that's fine. Okay, you know what an MBA is?
I've heard of it, yes.
Yes, okay. And you'd expect somebody who's got a master's in business administration to have some knowledge of economics. I'm not saying that they would be professors of economics, but they would know something about economics and finance and those kinds of things, correct?
Generally, yes.
Yes, thank you. Right. Now, fortunately, we now have agreed that the idea was discussed at the instance of the public protector. And her evidence will be that one of the issues, and I think in fairness to you, you already had said yesterday that you could not comment on this, but I'm just bringing it back for context. One of the issues that she was raising with the leadership of NIA was the possible impact on economic stability of whatever would come out of this particular report. You should know that she had such concerns, at least at a general level. Do you or don't you?
No, I don't recall that.
Okay, fine. That's fine. Fair enough. So her evidence will be, and again, this might not be necessary anymore to lead you on this, because you've already considered that it was the idea came from the public protector, assisted by Mr. Goodson, as well as some other internal work which was being done by the likes of Mr. van der Merwe in the Public Protector's Office. But for what it's worth, the Public Protector then what she was really seeking from these people was to say, this is my idea. I want to make sure that it is articulated in such a way that it does not create any instability. And it was in that context that they were asked for input. You can't dispute that.
I don't have a view on that.
Yes, but you are the person who was, shall we call it, raiding, maybe raiding is a strong word, who was making the inquiries as to where is the input in your emails, correct?
Which input are you referring to?
The input that you were seeking from Mr. Ramabulana, for example, in the emails that Ms. Bauer read to you.
Yes, we were.
Do you remember the emails you sent asking about the whereabouts of the input?
But I didn't hear that properly.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Kekana. Do you recall the emails that you sent to SSA inquiring about the whereabouts of the input that they had promised?
Yes, I do remember making follow-ups with Mr. Ramabulane.
Yes. All I'm saying is that the input that you were asking for had been sought on the basis that I've just summarized on the part of the protector. You agree?
Which input would that be? Are you referring to the note from the SSA?
No, input is a general thing, Mr. Kekana. It could be a note, it could be a megaphone, I don't know. I'm just saying the input that you or narrative, yeah, to use your word, yeah. You said, kindly, this is your email. Thank you very much, Ms. Power, whoever is operating. On the 19th of May, 2017, you wrote a letter to Mr. Ramabulane, correct?
Yes.
And you copied the public protector advocate, Mkhwebane, correct?
That's correct.
And it says, kindly note that this is a reminder about the promised narrative from the department. So that's you can't ask me which input. What narrative were you talking about?
I was talking about the narrative on their role in the whole investigation.
No, the narrative on their role included, that's what I'm saying to you, the narrative on their role, and it also included the request from the public protector that I've just summarized, and I'll repeat it for your convenience, that she wanted an input on making sure that whatever she's going to come up with does not destabilize the country, which you've said you know nothing about, but I'm telling you, I'm putting to you as what she's going to say when she testifies.
No, what I can recall is that the input that we sought from Mr. Ramabulane was exactly the narrative as to what was their role in the whole CX debacle. I don't think, or I know that we were not seeking an economist view from Mr. James Ramabulane.
Okay, I'm not talking about just Mr. James Ramabulane, sir. I'm saying I don't know. I've just explained to you what the PP had sought from the SSA. Okay, you said you don't know about it. That's fine, but I'm telling you that's what she's going to testify. Now, I'm telling you further that in that area of stability, the issue that I've just raised with you, which I'm not going to explain again. When I say stability, you know what I mean. I mean the issue of ensuring that there's no economic instability in the country. In that area, she had asked them to assist her to give an input so that such stability could be assured. Do you understand that?
I do understand that.
Yes, okay, yeah. Now, and as a result, in the next meeting, this economic expert for, broadly speaking, as I've explained, someone who worked at the Reserve Bank with MBA and so on, was brought into the second meeting, correct?
From my understanding, Chair, is that the input requested from the economist was indicated to me on the email dated 17 May 2017, and that's TK3. But on the email that was just on the screen there, we were not requesting from Mr. Ramabulani an economist view. We were just requesting from him as to the history of their role in the whole investigation.
Fine, thank you. That's fine. I accept that different things were being sought from Mr. Ramabulani than those being sought from the economist here. What I'm saying is that the public protector communicated to you that she had requested the economic input, correct?
That's correct. That's TK3.
In TK3, yes. And subsequent to that, the input of Mr., or rather the input that was handed over by Mr. Moodley, because I don't know, it might have been generated by other people or in his department or whatever. But that input was then supplied, correct?
Yes, it was supplied.
Thank you. Yeah. So again, we have a situation where, according to your narrative, I'm just summarizing, there are two things that are sought from SSA. One is what you call the narrative from the Ramabulani, the historical narrative about their role. The second one is the economic input, correct?
No, that's not correct.
So there was no economic input sought from SSA?
There was a request from an input from an economist, yes, but we didn't get an economic input. We got a draft amendment to the Constitution.
Regarding the economic sector, correct?
No, we got a draft amendment of the Constitution.
Yeah, but, okay, thank you, Mr. I'm sorry. I'm saying that draft amendment did not regard the health issues. It regarded the economic sector, the issues about the Reserve Bank, correct?
Yes, it regarded the amendment to the change of mandate of the Reserve Bank.
Yes, thank you. And that's, would you classify that as an economic issue?
I would regard it as a constitutional amendment. I wouldn't be pressed to say that it's an economic issue from where I'm sitting.
From where you're sitting, are you being serious? So an issue about the mandate of the Reserve Bank, monetary policy, and all these things you underline in this document, according to you, are not economic issues. The issues about you underlined more financial stability policy, unlike monetary policy, is subject to very strong pressure from vested interests and the financial industry. That's not an economic issue from where you're sitting.
Chair, I don't know where council is reading from.
I'm reading from your underlining in 3.2 of Mr. van der Merwe's document.
.2.
Yeah. You can read anyway, whatever you want, anything in that document.
Yes, what's the question about this document?
Whether the issues that you've highlighted in that document do not relate to economic policy and economic issues?
As I indicated, I don't recall highlighting the document.
Okay.
And I did indicate that I did consider this document as an comparative economic model document or study or research.
All right. No,
Okay, thank you for that. I think we have established now that point. Thank you. Proceed, Advocate Mpofu.
Thank you, Chair. I think that's fine. I won't waste more time because I think it's very clear and the document speaks for itself. So it's no use trying to get Mr. Kekana to agree that this so-called amendment was dealing with economic issues. I think I'll just argue that at the end. Okay. So you therefore cannot dispute that Mr. Goodson's input was also coming from the point of view of an economic expert or an expert on central banking, at least, correct?
I don't have a view on that, Chair.
Even though you spoke to him and read his book?
Yes, I spoke to him and read his book, and I still don't understand the intricacies of economic principles. So I don't have a view on that, Chair.
No, it's not about you, Mr. Kekana. Do you think that Mr. Goodson understands the intricacies of those issues? That's the more important.
He spoke very well. He sounded like he understood what he was talking about.
Yes, and in his book, did you understand what he was saying in his book?
Oh, I had trouble understanding because even though the book painted some nice ideas about state banks, which I found fascinating because it was the first time I was reading about state banks, but I didn't know how feasible or how practicable they are.
No, that's granted. That's not what I'm asking you. I'm more asking you about whether you regard, it's more about his expertise than your approval thereof. I'm saying that you would agree that he was speaking with authority as an expert in his field. Whether you agreed with his conclusions or solutions is another matter. But he knew what he was talking about. I think that's what you were saying. You would agree with that?
Yes, he spoke as if he knew what he was talking about.
Yes, and his book was also very well researched, correct?
I don't understand well researched.
Okay, I mean, I'll give you an example. There's one chapter where he has something like 57 references from various other books, and that's just in one chapter.
Yes, I think
a well-researched book means that when the bibliography is quite rich.
Yes, I think I remember that.
Yes, and therefore I'm simply wanting to say, Mr. Kekana, that you interacted with the gentleman, you spoke to him, you say you were impressed, you might not have agreed, but he sounded like somebody who knew his subject. I'm simply saying, therefore, you would not fault anyone who regards him as an expert in his field, correct?
As I indicated, I wouldn't be sure because I didn't understand most of the principles that he was talking to us about. So I really wouldn't be sure.
All right. Anyway, that's fine, Mr. Kekana, I think that's good enough. All right, now let's. You would also agree that Mr. van der Merwe's research also was sourced from economic experts or other books on economics. I mean, he didn't just make up all these things that are also quite complex that you highlighted, correct?
Yes, I did see in his document that he made references to quite a number of documents or books or articles.
Yeah.
Just pause there, Advocate Mpofu. I now recognize Honorable Lothridge. You have your hand up.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and my apologies to interrupt Advocate Mpofu. I just want to make sure the document that we have of Niels van der Merwe on central banks, the one that is uploaded for us only goes to page 16 and 6.4.4. The rest is empty. Is there the rest of the document? Because I would actually also like to have sight of that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Just hold. That's in order, Honorable Lothridge. Advocate Mpofu, can you assist there?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Yes, Honorable Lothridge, it looks like that's the end of it. And that is vindicated by the email which we will be sending to you from Mr. Kekana, because it simply says, hi PP, find attached the draft notes from Niels, that will be Mr. van der Merwe. And then it says, I have highlighted the relevant parts. So he himself, Mr. Kekana, refers to it as a draft. So it looks like this was what one might call work in progress. As Mr. Kekana says that he was sent something by Mr. van der Merwe both before and after the report. So this might not be the final version, but it's the only one that we have. Thank you.
Okay. Just before you proceed, Honorable Heron.
Sorry, I'm going to just take the opportunity, Chair. I just want clarity. I don't know if I've heard it or it's not in the documents, but this book, the Goodson book, is it one book? And do we have a name for it, please?
The title of the book.
Yes, you don't have it, but its title is Inside the South African Reserve Bank, Its Origins and Secrets Exposed by Stephen
Goodson.
By Stephen Mitford, Mitford Goodson. And it's published by 2014 Black House Publishing Limited and in the United Kingdom.
Okay. Please proceed, Advocate Mpofu. You may proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. Right. Okay. I think we are done with the economic experts and no, it's fine. I'll leave that for argument. Mr. Kekana, it is your evidence that in TK2, was the document, your draft report, where the public protector made some proposals, correct?
Yes.
And I'm just hoping that it can be put up. Those are not the same pages. Sorry. Okay, I've been given page 1418, but I suspect that's not the bundle number. But can you go there?
It's bundled and it starts the affidavit on 2577. And if you want to go to TK2, Advocate Mpofu, then it will be, so hold on a sec. It starts on page 658.
658. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Can you please go there, operator?
The one coming on the screen might have different numbering because it was originally included as part of bundle A, and we then shifted to bundle D. So, but it will be there.
Okay, but both references will work.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. All right. Oh, sorry, I can't see it on my side. Is it up on your side, Honorable
Not
Chair?
yet, not yet. We are waiting like you as well. So
Okay.
just fix your stuff in the meantime. Hopefully it won't take long.
No, it's fine. It's fine. No, I'm on it because I'm using a hard copy.
And maybe you can start and then
Yes,
as
let me
it comes
start.
up,
Yeah,
so that we'll save your time.
Just to save time, yeah. Mr. Kekana, my understanding was that the public protector's inputs were the ones bold, or rather, not in bold, in capital letters, correct?
Yes, correct, except for the headings.
Yeah. Well, I don't understand that. So when let's go. Have you got it in front of you, Mr. Kekana?
Yes.
Okay, where I think you were taken to a place for some that says goods and books. And paper from Economist. So what did you understand her to be conveying there when she says goods and books?
Where are you?
It's 2674.
I don't have that bundle.
Okay, fine. Let's then wait
is
until
it paragraph 4.3.7.29?
Yes, the bottom of that.
Okay. My understanding is that we had to take something from Goodson's books or some form of input from Goodson's books.
Okay. So, and then where it says paper from Economist, what did you understand that to be talking about?
There was some talk that we would get an opinion from an economist.
But at this stage, you already had the input from Mr. Moodley, correct?
I'm not so sure. Maybe just confirm the dates.
Okay. It's if you go to TK2, it's the fourth 04/05/2017.
No, we received the note from Mr. Moodley on 6 June 2017.
Okay, 2 days later. So the paper from the Economist might have been referring.
No, not 2 days later.
Yes. No. I'm saying it. If it was referring to. Sorry.
It's a month later. Go ahead.
Yes. I'm saying to you, if it was referring to that input, it was projecting something still to be received. In other words, it had not yet been received, correct?
Yes, at that time we hadn't received the opinion from the economist.
Yes, and then it says the SARS response. You also had you received that by then?
I don't recall. I think we might have written to SARS relating to the tax implication of the lifeboat.
Yes.
maybe I think, I'm not so sure. I think we did get a response from them. I'm not so sure.
No, fair enough, Mr. Kekana. It's a long time ago. I'm just saying that might also have been referring to something you were still expecting if you had not received it, correct?
I'm not so sure at the time if I had it or I haven't had it at
you
the
were
time.
expecting it, yeah.
I'm
Okay,
not
fine.
so sure.
Yeah, and then there's something about submission by BLF. Was that, I mean, BFLF? Do you know if that had already been received or not?
At this juncture, I'm also not sure. I'm also not sure. Yeah.
All right. All right. And then she at the. Okay, I'm sorry, Chair. 2, 6, 7, 4, 7, 5. If you go to 7, 6, 7, 8, that's just a few pages down the line. Go to 5.2. 5.2.2. 5.2.2.
Yes.
Yes. Then she put there, okay. Okay, well then, meeting with SSA. What was she referring to there?
The submission that we're supposed to get from SSA relating to the narrative.
Yes. And had you received it by then?
No, we never received it.
I see. So again, this was something expected in the future.
Yes, we still expected that at this juncture.
Yes. All right. And what else? Then again, in the next page, she then the APSA response and documents viewed, SARB response, goods and books, economic view. You've already explained what those are, correct?
Yes, I have.
Then she puts constitutions, SARB Act, Banks Act. And then she put fees must fall, triple challenges, national treasury, SARB, and health, goods in, constitution, freedom charter, Bill of Rights. You understood, okay, we'll come to the Freedom Charter and Bill of Rights, but you understood what she was asking you to highlight in the report, correct?
Yes, in general, I understood, but some of the issues there, I was confused about them. I didn't understand them.
No, I know, particularly the Freedom Charter. But from then it's clear that she wanted you to deal with the meeting with the SSA, correct?
Yes, she still expected, or we expected, the submission from the SSA.
Oh, and yes, no, I know that, but I'm saying one of the things that you to deal with in the report was the meeting with the SSA.
And that would be the narrative we would receive from the SSA.
Right. Okay. Okay, well, I don't know if we have time, but I might help you. Do you know the connection between the Constitution and the Freedom Charter? Do you know the Freedom Charter?
I think I've seen it some time ago, years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but I'm not familiar with the document.
Okay. All right. That's fine. I think let's not go there. But you know that it's connected to the Constitution, or at least there are some people who say that the Constitution owes some of its existence to the Freedom Charter.
No, I don't know that.
You've never heard that view? Okay.
No.
All right. No, it's fine. We'll have a chat about it some other time, you and I. But just the information, there's an economic clause there that deals with banks and monopoly industries and so on, but it's fine. As I say, one day I'll take you to tea and we can have a discussion.
Yeah, I think so too, Advocate Mpofu. Arrange that.
I will. I think it's going to have to be quite a long session. Yeah. No, that's fine. The The other issues about fees must fall and health issues and so on. You also, I suspect you didn't understand what that meant, correct?
Sorry, which issues?
Fees must fall, health issues, triple challenges. I think that's probably just Greek.
I didn't understand the fees must falls and the triple challenges, how they were relevant to the investigation. But in regards to health, I think it was just a misspelling. I think she meant to say Heath.
Heath, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
no, that's probably true. Okay, the fees must, okay, you understand that if there's more than R1 billion of money that belongs to South Africans that lying somewhere or has been robbed from them, that could pay for free education, for example. I'm sure at that level you can understand it.
Actually, I don't want to venture into that. I don't have an opinion on that.
Okay, but do you know that if there's free education, somebody has to pay for it, and that somebody would be the state? At least you must know that. There's nothing free in life.
I do know that the state does cater for our education financially, but I cannot get into discourse as to if there's money owed where it would be paid where. I'm afraid I don't have a view on that.
No, that's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, this is 2017. Do you know that one of the hot issues at that time was hashtag fees must fall, which required that the government should come up with funding for free education or not?
Yes,
if you don't know, you don't know.
I was aware of that.
And do you have you don't have a view on certain things, but do you have a view on whether it would be a good thing to recover 1.25 billion rand that belongs to the citizens of South Africa?
Yes, it would have been a nice thing.
Good. Okay. Right. Then let's go to the issue of Rule 53. You were in charge of compiling the Rule 53 record, correct?
Yes, initially I was charged with making a copy of the file and providing to Mr. Namasisi, and at a later stage, I was asked by the appointed attorneys to come and assist with identification of documents.
Yes. You'd accept I know, well, you are a legal person, as a general statement that the compilation of Rule 53 records is done by, at that level that you are discussing, the attorneys and the legal department of the public protector. It's not done by her personally. That should be obvious, correct?
Yes, it was done at the stage by the attorneys involved.
Yes, and you said you compiled and you put all the documents to be given to that process of compiling Rule 53 record, correct?
Yes, I provided all that I have.
And you did not ask the public protector's permission before you provided those documents to the attorneys?
No, before I did that, there was just no discussion on that. I was just told that I must provide a copy of the file to the attorneys, well, through Mr. DC. So that's what we did.
Yes, that's what I mean. Those documents were not vetted or approved or disapproved by the public protector, correct?
I don't remember that.
You don't remember what?
I don't remember whether they were vetted or anything. As I indicated, I made a copy and provided it to our legal services.
Yeah, Mr. Kekana, please. I'm asking a simple question. When you did that compilation, I'm asking you, please assist the committee. You had a free hand. Nobody said, don't put this, take this out. You had a free hand. You compiled the documents, you gave them to the attorneys. What's so difficult about that?
What's the question there, Council?
Do you agree with what I've just said, that you had a free hand in compiling the documents and nobody said you must not put this one or don't put that one?
Yes, as I indicated, I made the copy of all that I had in the files and provided to the senior manager.
Yes, everything that you consider to be relevant to the case, correct?
No, everything that I had.
Or even more. So you even put things that
I also put my notes there. I put everything. I made a copy of everything.
Yes, that's good. No, that's very good. And but you said that your email was inexplicably omitted. Who omitted it? It must be you then.
For which email?
You said it was the email, I think, that we just discussed now. The one that says
TK2.
No, not TK2. It's the one, you remember where you just referred to it now, where the
draft report.
No, not that one. The one where the PP said an input from she had asked for an input from the economy. Is that one?
That's TK. Oh, TK3.
It's probably TK3. Yeah. Hold on. Yes, you are quite correct, Mr. Kekana. TK3. You were asked about this. It's a 2681 for the record. And you said this email, this is your evidence in chief. You said this email was inexplicably omitted from the Rule 53. That's how it has been reported in the media. So I'm saying that you were the person who compiled the record. So if anything was inexplicably omitted, then it was omitted by you, correct?
That's not correct.
Then who omitted it?
I wouldn't know who omitted it.
Mr. Kekana, I don't think you're assisting this process. But that's just what I'll argue at the end. But you accept that the responsibility for the compilation of this document lies on your door, correct?
Chair, as I indicated, I was instructed to make a copy of the file, and I made a copy of all that I had and provided it to the senior manager.
Yes, I accept that. I'm not saying you did it deliberately. I'm saying in doing so, you might have added things that maybe did not belong to this file by mistake. I'm granting you that, or omitted something. But that's not the point. The point is that the responsibility lies at your door, because you are the person who with a free hand, compiled this Rule 53 record, correct?
As I indicated, I gave a copy of everything that I had.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Then you spoke about okay, let me put it this way. You say you don't know who omitted that document, but it must have been between you or the attorneys or Mr. Namasisi. Those were the three persons. There might have been article clerks or whatever. I'm not going that far. But those were the three persons who were responsible for this exercise, correct?
Chair, I wouldn't know who might have omitted that.
Yes, but Chair, I'm sorry, Mr. Kekana, yes.
As Chair, as I've pointed out during my testimony earlier, I did indicate that the PP did instruct me that we were not to disclose our drafts reports. This was one of the draft reports that we did. So I'm not so sure where that discussion ended with the attorneys. So I'm really not so sure as to who might have omitted it.
No, that much you've made clear, but in your evidence, you were insinuating that it was the public protector, and I think you are trying to do that again now. So let's go into that. You cannot ascribe the omission of TK3 to the public protector, right?
Chair, as I indicated, I don't know who omitted that document.
Yes. Yeah, I know that you've answered that. I'm asking you a direct question, Mr. Kekana. Please learn to answer the question. You cannot ascribe the omission of that TK3 to the public protector, correct?
Chair, it could have been her, it could have been the attorneys, I don't know, Chair.
Yeah, it could have been me, it could have been John Smith, it could have been my junior. You yourself cannot ascribe, it could be anybody or any of the 60 million South Africans, correct?
Chair, I've answered that question.
No, yeah, he did, Advocate Mpofu. Please.
He did not, Chairperson, he did not, you know.
No, he is indicating that it could have been the public protector, it could have been the attorney, could have been anybody in that office. I think the point is canvassed. Thank you.
Anyway, that's fine. Mr. Kekana, you have been found guilty of dishonesty, correct?
That's incorrect.
All right. You have not been dismissed because of dishonesty?
No.
Did you distribute documents that were sent to you by mistake?
Chair, as I indicated before, I will not have a view on the issues which are pending at the Labour Court.
No, Mr. Kekana. You have a view about issues that are pending before the criminal court in respect of the public protector. So you think you are the only person who has rights in South Africa?
Chair, I've indicated my view.
Well, Chair, can you please direct the witness to answer the question, because I told you about double jeopardy and you said we must go ahead. It can't apply only to certain people. Please, Chairperson.
Just repeat your question, and I would like him to repeat his response in the manner he deems he wants to do it.
All right. Okay. I'll repeat the question. Let me just put it. If you bear with me, Chairperson, just for. Yes. Mr. Kekana, your disciplinary hearing was chaired by Mr. Fourie, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Okay. Now the part I'm just going to read some of what he says. It says, in my view, the employee disregarded and breached the relationship of trust between him and the employer by disclosing confidential information that was sent to him in error, well knowing that it was not meant for him. His relationship as a shop steward with the Public Service Association and the advantage that it could gain from confidential information came to his attention by mistake was at the time of more importance to him than his duties and responsibilities as an employee. And then at 14, he says, however, this was denied, rather, the employee showed no remorse for disclosing confidential information during the proceedings. He initially suggested to Ms. Mafa that she deliberately disclose information to him relating to travel arrangements of the former chief executive officer after she had discussed it with him. However, this was denied in his evidence. Instead, he agreed that Ms. Mafa provided the information to him by mistake. In my view, this indicates dishonesty on his part and a late attempt to shift the blame. You remember that part?
Not that clear.
You did receive the outcome of your disciplinary hearing, correct?
Yes, I did.
And that's what I was reading from. Have you forgotten now, or is that a convenient way of forgetting it?
Maybe when you started, I disagreed with you, and I still disagree with you that I was charged with dishonesty. I think maybe the way you started confused me because I was charged with unauthorized disclosure of confidential information. I was never charged with dishonesty.
No, that's it's probably the way I phrased the question. I'm sorry, Mr. Kekana. The question should have been: were you found guilty of dishonesty? Were you found to be a dishonest person?
Counsel, I think you're going there again. You're saying I was found guilty of being dishonest. I just said I was charged with an authorized disclosure.
Okay. No, thank you. No, fair enough. Was a finding of dishonesty made against you by Mr. Fourie?
He did mention that, but I was not charged with that.
No, I didn't say. Mr. Kekana, please don't waste our time now. I've changed the question for your convenience. Was a finding of dishonesty made against you by the chairperson of the disciplinary hearing?
No, Chair. I was found guilty of unauthorized disclosure of confidential information.
I'm asking you the last time. Was a finding of dishonesty made against you by Mr. Fourie, the chairperson of the disciplinary hearing?
Chair, I've made or submitted an answer to that.
So you're refusing to answer the question?
He has answered that question in a way.
No, Chairperson.
I forgot.
No, Chairperson.
He just indicated what he was found guilty of.
I'm not interested in what he was found guilty of, okay? So he might say it if he wants to tell people who are interested in it. I'm asking a different question. Was a finding of dishonesty made against you, yes or no? Not what you were found guilty of.
Chair, I've made a view on that question.
Okay, thank you. I've noted that. Please proceed, Advocate Mpofu.
Sorry, Advocate.
Just a pause, Advocate Bauer and Honorable Ngwa.
Advocate Mpofu, just as a information, which paragraph were you referring to? In the ruling?
I think it's 13 and 14. Let me just make sure. 13 and 14, yeah. I started by reading 13. The finding of dishonesty is on paragraph 14, 1-4.
Okay, just a pause, Honorable and Honorable Sukas.
Well, thank you, Chair. No, I just wanted to request that can the findings of the disciplinary hearing against the witness on stand be shared with us as well, so that we know where Advocate Mpofu is referring from. Thank you.
That's in order. Honorable Sukas.
I just want to know, Chair, just as a point of clarity in terms of the application of the rules, in the witness being uncomfortable or not answering a question, they reserve the same rights, I take it, in terms of being able to respond at a time convenient to them, whether it be in 7 days or not. I'm asking.
That's what I'm on it. I'm carefully watching that space. Thank you, Honorable Speakers. Is that being made available before Advocate Mpofu proceeds? Do we have that?
Well, Chairperson, yeah, I'm not taking your job, but there's no such thing as a witness answering in 7 days. The witness must answer now. That is not on the cards, and it's not covered by the directive. But be that as it may, yeah. And so the witness, I'm just saying, yeah, if the witness feels the heat and the over question, you can't say I'll answer it in 7 days.
No, the witness did not speak about 7 days. The witness has been answering questions since yesterday and today. We might not like the answers he's giving. He is giving answers.
Okay, no, then maybe Chair, you missed what Honorable Super was saying. She was talking about 7 days of. That's fine. That's in any event that's. I was just assisting that the 7 days rule doesn't apply to witnesses.
That's fine. Let's proceed.
Okay.
Advocate Bauer, just switch off your mic. Thank you. Go ahead, Advocate Mpofu.
Yes, please answer the question, sir. Was a finding of dishonesty made against you by Mr. Fourie?
Chair, I've already given an answer to that.
So I take it you are refusing to answer the question.
Chair, I've given my view to that, Chair.
Yeah, I think let's proceed, Advocate Mpofu.
Oh, Chair, I'm sorry.
He had given an answer more than once on your question.
Yeah, but Chair, so you can stand up and recite the letters of the alphabet, and you say he has given an answer. He's not answered my question. You can't just say he's given an answer if he stands up and saying hallelujah.
As I indicated, you might not like the response and the answer. He has given his response and an answer to the question you asked several times.
Yes, Chairperson, I'm explaining to you with the greatest respect that I'm expecting him to answer my question. You can't just say because he has moved his lips and something came out of his mouth that he has answered my question. No, he has not answered my question.
No, Advocate Mpofu, I don't think we are going to labor the point here. The question has been answered, and he has indicated where he stands on that question. Honorable Melder.
That's it. I think anybody listening.
Just pause, Advocate Mpofu. Honorable Melder.
With all due respect, that is the approach of Advocate Mpofu. He could also perhaps apply the witnesses with the answers that he expects.
I didn't get that. It seems that Advocate Mpofu is being cut out. Honorable Heron.
No, Chair, I'm sorry, with respect, I don't think the response from Honourable Mulder is correct. I mean, the witness has been asked to confirm that in a disciplinary finding, there is a paragraph that says that the witness was found dishonest. I don't understand why it's not correct to put to him, and why he can't answer yes or no that's in the finding.
That's fine. Advocate Mpofu, you seem to have cut out. Are you there? You're muted.
Yes, no, I was removed. So I think that I just saw Honorable Heron, literally the last 2 words. So if you could just maybe summarize, Chair, what he was saying.
No, he was requesting that the witness responds to the question that you've posed again.
Thank you. Hallelujah.
It's fine. Mr. Kekana?
Chair, maybe let me see the document that Council is referring to, and I'll
You don't have that document?
Or no, I don't have it with me currently.
Okay, so are the members.
Sorry, Chairperson. Yes, Ms. Bauer will. I'll move to something else then, Chairperson, for now. just to save time until it has been displayed. Oh, there you are. It's paragraph 14.
Is that the last sentence?
That's correct, Chairperson.
In my view, okay. You want to respond to that, Mr. Kekana?
Yes, Chair. I would respond that that's what Mr. or Advocate Stoffel Fourie indicated in his findings or in his report.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you, Honorable Heron. Now,
At that point, Advocate Mpofu will pause there for tea break for 15 minutes.
thank you, Chairperson.
We'll be back at
Thank
quarter
you.
to. Back at quarter to, Mr. Kekane, quarter to 12.
Noted, Chair.
Recording stopped.
Thank you.